Hello again, it's Noob, and here we have a really beautiful DOM IX HT Saturn with its interactive element, which we'll have a look at that key in a minute. It's got a little ring, maybe like the rings of Saturn, I'm not so sure. And this was kindly gifted to me by Ranzbak, who I met again in LockCon in the Netherlands when I was there. Sadly, due to my incompetence, this lock has had a bit of an accident. While exploring how to remove the cam mechanism from this half cylinder, I did the classic thing of the core coming out too far and I lost a pin at the back. Fortunately, it didn't completely break the lock, but I did have to saw the cam off to rescue it. And only then did I realise that there is a special technique to removing this cam. I didn't see this until it was way too late, so if you are watching this, don't do the same. There is a little pin here which you can push down and that frees up the mechanism. Otherwise the cam and this sort of brass plug at the back, they're interlocked and you have to pull down this pin to disconnect them. If I'd only seen that or known that beforehand, this wouldn't have had to happen. On the small plus side, maybe it will make gutting this lock a bit easier and it won't affect the picking, but I personally am gutted because it's such a beautiful lock and I did have to cut it. So lesson learned for me there. But sadly, when you pick thousands of locks, there will be one which you accidentally break due to incompetence or tiredness or whatever, and well, we all have to learn that lesson at some point. Anyway, let's stick this in a vise, pick it, and then gut it, hopefully properly this time. Before we pick it though, let's have a look at this key in more detail. So you can see that there are some incredibly deep cuts here. Just look at this. These are very much zero lift, and the pins themselves, which you'll see later, aren't rounded. They're like little knives. And when I say they're zero lift, they are pretty much literally zero lift. There's very little space, so little space you can hardly get a flat flag, even as thin as this, underneath the pins. So that is a bit tough. You'll see I've got a flat flag there, but I've also got a pick, and the pick is because sometimes you might need to actually press down on the pins using this little groove here, like that. So I don't really see I'm pushing down on the side of the pin and I'm able to depress it. So that's another technique you can use. There is a little cutout here and you might think, why is that? Well, that aligns with this little interactive element, which you'll see at the moment is poking down, but it's at an angle through the key. So put that to one end. I don't know whether you can see that it's poking out underneath on this side, and if I run my pick up here, it will poke out at the top. That's sort of what's happening on the inside here. This groove here will allow the ring, Saturn ring I guess, to poke up as it enters the keyway. So like this, you'll see that it allows it to travel through, but at this end you don't see that little arch anymore. That's because when it gets to this end, it will force that little ring down to the bottom and push a pin at the back far down. You can see that here, can't you? Just there. See that pin? That's what it's interacting with. So as we insert this, it'll come all the way to the back, and then that ring will push down just here. You can just see the edge of it just there, the pin right at the back. So I found all the tools I need, but let's just look at this beautiful key one last time. Love that little donut, that Saturn ring. It's such lovely engineering on a small scale. Lovely bitting on this lock, and I didn't mention these are passive key control pins on the side. They don't affect picking at all, which is lucky, and the lock works beautifully. I have a couple of hook picks to press down any pins if I need to. I've got my flat flag for pressing down on the pins. And I also have a cut down multi-pick 1.3mm turning tool, because these dom locks have a groove across the front, and I can take advantage of that and use it as a sort of a place to put the turning tool, which doesn't go in far enough to foul the pins. Okay, so medium tension, don't need anything too bad here. And we're just going to let's bring some more light in. There we go. Right, let's try this now. Pin 1, nothing on the left hand side. 1, nothing. 2, nothing. 3, maybe something. 4's definitely binding. Yeah, here's 4 again. There, little false set. Back onto 3, it feels. There we go. All the way onto pin 1 on the left. Wow, that's deep. Good. Hard to get on top of those chisel pins. Feels like 2's binding now. Can I pick that all the way? Hard to do. So what I can do is just get a hook like this and run it down the side of the pin. So that's pin 1 here. That's pin 2. Oh, feels like pin 1 wasn't picked all the way, but we can put that down. Let's get in there with a flag. There we go. I think we got it. Oh, pin 2's now poked back up. And if that doesn't work, like I said, you can just get in there with a hook and you can just push the pin down. There we go. And that, I believe, is set. So let me just check through on the left hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing on 4, and that interactive pin isn't working at the back yet. So now that zero lift pin at the front on the right makes it virtually impossible to pick with the flag off that side. So, oh, pin 4, 5 at the back. Nothing on 4, 3. Little click on 1, 2, little click. Maybe something on 3, but can't quite tell yet. Let me just check the interactive element at the back. Perfect. See that counter rotation? So it's really just another pin, isn't it? Let's face it. Let's go pin. Let's have a look. Pin 4, I think. Little click. Pin 3 there. And it might be we need something deeper, so let's just go in with this little hook and go pin 1, nothing, 2, nothing, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. I think I got 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are open. Look at that. Lovely job. Oh, almost pushed the lock out. I'm just not having a lot of fun with this, am I? Well, actually, the worst thing is, it's a beautiful, beautiful lock to pick. Can we see down there? Oh, you can see down the keyway. That's cool, isn't it? Nice and open. It sort of belays its difficulty. It's not an easy one to learn, but I tell you what, it's one of the more fun DOMs I have picked. And I'm not joking about that at all. It really is great fun. Now I just need to find a suitable pinning tray. This one was made for me by Matt's Lock Pit. Now I'm going to lock this back up so I can use a shim, and so I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to stick a shim down the middle, a nice broad one if I can, like that, because why not? And then I'm going to just stick a follower in and hope for the best. Oh, one of those little passive key control pins has just fallen out. I do know where they all are, so where did it go to? Yeah, it's fallen out of that position there, and it's just bounced off somewhere. They're really tiny, but it isn't really very important to the lock pick at all, so I will find it in a second. Oh no, it's just here, look, there he is. It's a little ball bearing that goes in that position there. That's all it is. So I might just try not to disturb those at all, and see what we can do. So you probably can't tell too much what's going on there. This sort of countersunk part here, that's where the interactive element interacts with this pin and pushes it up. You can see that there are teardrop shape cuts in the key, sorry, in the holes in the core that orientates the pins across and make sure that you can have these pins which are nice and flush on the curve, which means you can maintain some excellent tolerances. It does make putting it back together a lot more difficult though. So we'll try our best to make this work. So I'm going to go pins on the top here that you can see here are going to be on the top, and the ones at the bottom are going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to try and do something like this and try and use the key to allow me to pull these pins out in any order, as long as it's in the right order. But it is hard to get these pins out, it really is. Oh, there you go, that's pin 4. We'll be able to get 5 out by tapping. There you go, 5. Might be able to get this pin out. I might have to poke it with a I had to poke some of these with a oh, that ball bearing's come out. I'm going to leave it there. Poke these with a hook to get them out, since I can get a hook down there. It really is a massive pain to get these things out sometimes. Okay, let's try that pin. Got it. This is a horrible lock to put back together. And now we might be able to let's put that to one side. That's it. There we go. So still kept in those passive key control pins. I wonder if I can get that out. Yeah, I can get it. I can get it. That is the key pin which interacts with that interactive element. So I've tried to offset these so that they are, I'll put them upside down so you'll see those chisel tips. I'll show you those in a minute. Like that. There we go. And that's that way up. And these are the other way up. So you'll see that the tops of the key pins are these little chisels, and they have overset traps and everything that you could wish for in these little torpedo pins. But that's the plug there. I'm just going to leave it to one side. Right, now I'm going to do the same. Move that shim out of the way. Now, this is the ones which are closest to us. So technically these go this side, so they're paired up here. You really can't sort of get this wrong. So I'll put them in the right way. They are spools and all sorts of things. They're very, very cool pins, I have to say. Oh, there we go. They are awful to put back together, really awful. So that one was actually this one, and that one was actually this one, and that one is that one, and that one is this one here. Okay, there we go. Right, because that's a little driver pin for the interactive element, and then there's a whole load of little brass. I think they're all brass springs. I'm not going to take those out. The other pane, right, here we go, look at that. Those are all the pins. Now you can't really see much going on there, so I'm just going to lift a couple up for you to see. We have, these are the driver pins. So this one is a spool, but it has a very sharp lip on there, which will catch in the plug. What else do we have? So spool, this is looking down the front, this is all the ones on the right hand side. So go spool, spool. Even this, even though it's short, is spooled and has that little tight sort of lip here on the side. Super engineering. The interactive pin, it is actually sort of angled in. Can you see that? Just at a slight angle, maybe 20 degrees. That's interesting, I thought. The key pins, here's an example of that chisel tip, and of course this mushrooming here. So there's sort of spooled mushrooms for overset traps where they can. The shorter ones are just sort of standard key pins. Here's an extra long, that's the zero lift one, I think, key pin here, and you just see how that is mushroomed as well. It's an overset trap, and it's the same story at the top. They're all sort of spool pins like this with that super sharp little lip. So ultra cool lock. Terrible to have to put back together, it really is, and terrible to gut. And yeah, it's a shame I had to cut the back off it, but it's a brilliant lock to pick. And I hope you enjoyed watching me almost mess that up. So thank you, Ranzbak, for this incredible lock. I really enjoyed picking it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, leave a like. If you've got any comments, especially about my disaster, please leave them below. I do read them all, reply to as many as I can. If you haven't subscribed and want to see more content like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.